This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
You're plugged in for the Podcast Wrestling Society, where you can get dynamic weekly pro wrestling and MMA-related content. Give us a follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at PODWRES Society so that you can stay in the know.
Faith is the place. The sky's the limit.
And if you like what you hear, give us a 5-star review and hit that subscribe button.
Woo! 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 Woo!
Now, your host, he is the one and only Troy Adams.
We are taking this podcast to the extreme. It's another hardcore wrestling Wednesday here on the Podcast Wrestling Society. I'm your loving leader, benevolent host, and Midwest monster. Oh my God! I'm Troy Adams, and crossing the line with me here today is the Bam Bam Bigelow to my Chris Candido. We are the double threat of me and Greg. What up, Greg?
What up? I don't even have a clever one. He said he just sucks. Sorry.
I don't know what your extreme hate. You're like Bruce Pritchard. You have this like extreme hate for extreme championship wrestling. What is that rooted in?
It just sucked. It was just nothing but hardcore wrestling.
Well, yeah.
There were some good moments. There were some good wrestlers.
And if anybody listened to our last episode, our review of All Out, you will know how Greg really feels about those hardcore deathmatch type things.
That's not wrestling.
I mean, look, I hate death matches. I absolutely freaking hate them. And when people say, well, it's just another kind of wrestling or whatever, like, no! I'm fine with blood and guts here and there. You know, that's fine. During a match, okay. But, good Lord, when Jimmy Havoc is pulling out a staple gun and stapling his own arm.
Yeah, that one really made me go, oh, this is a piss break match. Seriously, it really did. And I knew right then and there it was going to be the worst match of the night.
Yeah, it was something. So, all of you out there know by now, Greg is not a fan.
But I am a fan of watching crap and laughing at it, so ironically, I will watch it, and I will do this.
Well, then that
also, I gotta point out, the hardcore matches WWE used to do in, like, the Attitude Era were fun. But, you know.
Yeah. Well, most of them, yeah.
I'd rather watch Al Snow get pile-driven in the snow than, like, you know, a guy stapling a dollar to his forehead.
Yeah, dude, when they stapled a lit cigarette to Joey Janela's head, I was like, why?
Yeah.
Well,
I guess the Necro Butcher really cemented it for me. I didn't realize how much I hated it before I saw his matches. Seriously,
he's not a wrestler. He can't perform here's my thing. If you cannot perform a wrestling move, you're not a wrestler.
Yeah.
You're just not. I saw him take a power slam from Samoa Joe and land on his face.
And he liked it.
Yeah.
I think like guys like him and New Jack, I'm like, why the hell were these guys ever under contract? Like, ever.
I don't know.
Tell. I placed those two on top of the list of like crap.
What about Abdullah the Butcher?
He was before my time, and like, yeah, he's up there. But you know, as far as what I've seen,
my thing was
I only know put the Sandman on there because he had like the most epic song in history, and he could do a few wrestling moves, but
yeah,
he's not saying much.
He looked sloppy as hell when he did them, but I mean, he probably
was also
sloppy as
entertaining.
hell.
Yeah, he was probably drunk the whole time too.
Probably. Oh, good Lord.
Foregone conclusion.
Yeah, I mean, all of his moves were named after alcohol. So the Heineken.
I didn't get that until I was like freaking 15 or 16 years old. I seriously didn't get that. I asked my dad. Is this man's a white guy, or that's like legit what I thought, dude.
Yeah, I had to ask my dad. I was like, "What the hell is that?" And he was like, "Oh, White Russian is an alcoholic drink." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And the Heineken. Yeah, and then the Heineken Rana, the Rolling Rock.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Stuff was hilarious.
This horrible senton, right?
Yes, yeah, where he literally just rolled forward.
Yeah, we'll call that a senton.
Yeah, it was aptly named.
It looked like something a rookie would do by accident when trying to jump off the top rope onto a mat.
Yeah. I've done a move similar to that onto couch cushions in my living room. There's that.
Yeah, well, it's different when that's for fun, and this is actual match. And I use that term loosely.
We're going to talk about ECW when we come back from the break.
I want to talk about the good ECW, the WWE one.
You know, for as crap as this one was, that one was worse. I watched.
We'll do a show on that one day.
Did you ever? You know, I'll ask you when we come back from the break. We're going to tell you about some other great podcasts here on the Big Heads Media Network. When we come back, we're going to cover the night the line was crossed, and we're actually 1994. And this was back when it was Eastern Championship Wrestling, before they went Extreme officially.
Well, they went Extreme on tonight, I believe, right?
Yeah, well, we'll talk about it. But, yeah, we're going to cover that, and we're going to cover Hardcore Heaven 1997. When we after the break, like the second break of the podcast, and that's because I thought there was enough meat on the bone with the night the line was crossed because it was so heavily hyped. There was not, so we're going to cover.
Yes, folks. TJ gave ECW too much credit. Don't worry, I've already gave them crap about it. Don't worry.
Yeah,
I got your backs.
Yes, because I'm sure our listeners are just that hateful. Well, they might be. I don't know. All of you out in Norway, which by the way is our second most. We're second most popular in Norway, believe it or not, outside of the U.S.
I'm going to start calling my friends I'm big in Norway.
Well, I'm going to leave that one alone. Anyway, but we're going to come back from the break. We're going to cover the ECW's The Night the Line Was Crossed 1994. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome to Retro Wrestling Review. I'm your co-host, Troy Adams, and with me is the other host of Triple R, Santiago. Tell him, Santi.
Déjame decirte algo, hermano. Every single Monday night here on Retro Wrestling Review, we do watch-alongs and bring in-depth analysis with a funny take on the most historic wrestling matches you can't find on the WWE Network. We cover lucha libre, Japanese wrestling, and the American territories, and so much more.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Retro Wrestling Pod. You can find us wherever you get your favorite podcasts, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and even YouTube.
And our shows are all archived on the No Please Don't Podcast Network. Visit us at www.nopleasedon'tpodcast.com for more, brother.
Welcome to Pistons Thoughts, where we talk, well,
you guessed it, Pistons.
Come join us weekly for everything Pistons. I swear we're fun.
Yeah, maybe.
A little bit, right?
Just a tiny bit.
Okay. Well, either way, you'll probably have a great time. Come on and listen.
All right, we're back from the break, and that means we're diving into ECW's The Night the Line Was Crossed 1994. This show...
Cross the line, TNA. Sorry.
Yeah, right? Yeah, nice segue, right?
King of the segues right here.
This show happened February 5th, 1994. As I mentioned, they were still Eastern Championship Wrestling at this time, and they were still an NWA affiliate.
And this was like a local house show thing, right? I mean, it wasn't on TV. I don't think it wasn't pay-per-view for damn sure. So.
It wasn't pay-per-view. It was on home video. like one of those home video release type deals. Let me tell you something. I worked for a local indie promotion here, not as a wrestler, as a production guy here in Ohio. And the production for that show was the same as the production in 1994 for ECW, which was supposed to be a big NWA affiliate. I think we had better production.
Being the key word.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, they had people like Jimmy Snuka on this freaking show. Terry Funk was the world champion. They had one camera, Greg, and it was a hard cam. So,
was it handheld?
No, it was like it was.
Well, then it's a pro camera.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was one of them where you down to. It was the kind where and I've done this before, so take my word for this. You go down to your local public access station. If you like sign up to be a member, they'll let you rent the camera once a week. So it's one of them, and you put it up on a tripod. So if there was a fight going on in the ring and in the crowd at the same time, you saw one of them. Sometimes you saw neither of them because the lighting sucked and the camera guy was slow. We'll get to something the crowd or the camera guy missed, and it was a pretty big thing.
Before we start this, I'm going to say I'm going to be a little liberal with some words on this. So,
yeah, they're
by complete accident, mind you, but
right. The first thing I noticed, you remember Hawaiian Shirt Guy?
Oh yeah, he had the hat on, the straw hat too, right?
Yep.
I believe he was actually Straw Hat Guy. Oh.
Yeah, that straw hat guy, Hawaiian shirt guy, that weird dude who showed up at every effing show from beginning to end.
Well, when it's only $4 to get in, you can go to every show. Jeez.
Yeah, but it's like you have nothing better to do every week.
No!
Clearly. He lives in Philadelphia. God,
his fan is going to hear this and get pissed at us.
Oh, God, yeah. But yeah, he was there front and center, hard cam. I'm like, God dang, this was back in 94. You were there when they turned the lights out.
Real quick, if you watch any of these shows, I feel like he's always there front and center. I don't know if it's just me, but...
No, he
so,
is.
This is
right
a thing.
hard cam. Yeah. I mean, every indie... That's a sign of a true, like... low-rent indie fed, by the way, is you got the same people in the same seats every week. It's not one of them...
It's like you're getting seat fillers or something from the local bar down the street.
It is, yeah. I mean, at the indie fed I used to work for, people had their assigned seats they paid for specifically every week. And I'm like, damn, like, what the hell? It's weird. Another thing, by the way, keep in mind, again, I can't stress this enough. There were legends, real legends on this show. They were an NWA affiliate. The ring mat was patched up with duct tape. Quite a bit of duct tape. Not just like one little part. Like, no. It was bad. Joey Styles made a bunch of comments in the show, even back in 94, about the other companies, because this was just like an ECW commentary staple. You can't call... I was going to call them ECW's competition, but you can't call them competition because ECW wasn't competing with a damn thing, especially in 94. He said, this was a quote from him in one match. He said, "You won't find this kind of action in Atlanta or Stamford or some mountains." The mountains, for those of you who don't get it, he's referring to Smoky Mountain Wrestling, which was a thing at this time. Them, okay, they might have been competing with them. That was it. And that's a maybe. But yeah, anyway, this was 4 months since Ultra Clash, which just...
Oh, what a name, man.
Yeah.
Crap. Take my money. I want to watch that.
Yeah.
Ultra Clash.
Yeah. The first match was somebody named Salvatore Balamo versus Mr. Hughes. You remember Mr. Hughes? He was not.
He was the first guy to have a job everywhere.
Right? Yeah. He was we use this reference a lot. He was not Big Bubba Rogers.
Yeah.
He was.
He was the black version of him.
Yeah, I was gonna say Big Bubba Rogers, but like from Harlem.
Yeah.
I think this match sucked. I don't know who the hell Salvatore Balamo was. He dressed like an old Roman soldier, but he was fat and had a big beard and long curly hair. So yeah, Mr. Hughes got the win with his side slam, which, by the way, was
coincidentally,
it was not the Big Bubba Rogers slam or the Big Bubba slam, whatever the hell. This next match was the Sandman and somebody named Tommy Cairo versus the Rockin' Rebel and the Pitbull in a double dog collar match. The Sandman was the Surfer Sandman at this point. Who the hell looked at Sandman and was like, Surfer?
Okay, first of all, he's from Philadelphia.
Yeah.
How do you surf in Philadelphia?
I drive to New York. Maybe you can boogie board there. I mean, there's no surf. Did
you have a ratty, by the way? I forget.
No, he didn't. But he did have. He always has that stupid drunk look on his face. Like, no offense.
No.
But seriously. But he always just, like, whether he's drunk or not, he's got that look on his face like he is drunk, or he could possibly maybe, be getting there. He's half in the bag. And he's wearing a wetsuit. He's carrying a surfboard just to remind you, hey, this is my gimmick.
This sounds so bad.
This was like, and
good Lord.
He's out of shape. He's got a pot belly. I'm like, what the hell kind of surfer is this? Is this ironic in some way? And another question, why is his name the Sandman?
Sand, surf, beach? Come on, dude.
Oh, okay. I didn't put that one together. I get it. But
well, I don't want it, but I get it.
Did you know, by the way, that was the original idea name for Steve Austin when he came into WWE instead of the Ringmaster? They wanted to call him the Sandman because he puts people to sleep.
This shows him put me to sleep.
I'm reading off of 411mania.com, by the way, for this one because it was too
I haven't
painful
watched
to
this
take
show in
notes.
years, but I've seen it, so just keep that in mind.
There's a lot of punching, kicking, and using the chain. Pitbull uses the chain to Beal toss Cairo at one point, who I've never heard of. They get crossed up when the heels seem to be setting up to whip the baby faces into each other, but Sandman forgets, or Pitbull and Cairo aren't ready, one of the two, because Sandman suddenly walks away, and they do it again a minute later. This is awfully short considering the gimmick, but the good finish and the fact that it is relatively inoffensive aren't enough to make it come off well as a whole. That is what I read from the notes.
-4 stars.
-4 stars. Are you Brian Alvarez now?
God, no. Although I'd rather be him than Meltzer.
All right. That. I don't know who the hell. By the way, Gary Wolf was the one with the long hair. He was the Pitbull at this point, by the way. So just putting that out there. They didn't have the one who's unfortunately now passed away, and I can't remember his damn name. The bald one. Do you remember his name? It was Gary Wolf and Pitbull number 2. Yeah. That's all I know on Pitbull number 2. The next one. Rocco Rock and Johnny Grunge, the Public Enemy, take on Ron and Don Harris.
Oh, hell yes. Main event anywhere in the country.
This was this was before the Blue Brothers. They were calling themselves the Bruise
What year
Brothers.
Is this 94? 94?
Yeah, 94.
They're about to go to WWE as the Blue Brothers.
Yes. So right now they still had the long curly hair. They were wearing like they kind of dressed like they did as the Blue Brothers, but they were the Bruise Brothers, Ron and Don Harris. And
man, think of all the money that gimmick made.
Yeah. Well, Joey Styles kept like making these dumbass comments the whole time. It was like, man, can you imagine what their mother, the Harris's mother, had to go through raising these two? And what did they get for Christmas? Chainsaws? And like, I'm like, you're not clever, Joey. Just shut up. But yeah, so basically, they fight all over the arena. Grunge. Grunge blinds one of the Harrises with powder and then hits the other with a weak 2x4 shot, and they get the win. Yay. Speaking of before they had their gimmick that we remember, up next is Tommy Dreamer versus Jimmy Snuka. Tommy's dressed like a...
Oh, yes, the suspenders, right?
Yeah, Tommy's dressed like the third member of the American Males. And he's announced from Dreamville, USA, I think, or something like, or Dreamland, I think. By the way,
I guess Yonkers wasn't on the map yet.
Yeah. How did they not put Tommy Dreamer and the Sandman together at this point? It was like, hey, we can do like a gimmick with you guys' names.
Well, they were busy with all this other good stuff.
Shut your mouth, Greg.
Told you I was going to be liberal with a lot of words.
Yeah.
I gave a disclaimer, damn it. No, I'm not apologizing.
Well, this is Jimmy Snuka versus Tommy Dreamer. The first line of this rundown just sums it up perfectly. It said, this is basically a 3-minute match packed into 10 minutes with tons of stalling from Snuka and crowd playing from both. Tommy was about to turn into the Tommy Dreamer we all know and love, the lovable loser. And like Snuka's in full heel mode here. He's got some manager I've never effing heard of. Just a guy. And I don't know. I forget the name, but the guy supposedly had something going with a feud with Dreamer, and he tracked down Jimmy Snuka and paid him off to fight him.
Yeah, because when you want to beat up somebody, you hire Jimmy F. and Snuka.
Well, yeah.
I'm not gonna touch that. There's a line there. I'm gonna leave that alone.
I thought of a really
not going there.
Joke.
We're not going there.
Nope. Snuka gives him 2 superfly splashes to keep him down. Dreamer's bleeding from the mouth. Snuka keeps beating him up afterwards just to get sympathy on Dreamer. The match itself is essentially a squash with Dreamer getting the piss beat out of him. Dreamer misses a dive and Snuka takes advantage. It's not even any hope spots for Dreamer aside from the superfly splash kick out. And it's just Jimmy's. If you want to see Jimmy Snuka as a fairly old man in semi-decent shape beating the crap out of a young Tommy Dreamer, this match is for you.
It's funny, the whole thing about this match, when you look back on it now, I was like, dream match for, no pun intended, for Dreamer. I guess I was one of his idols.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I was like, man, and he was I think...
He was in the Garden when that splash happened, right? I think he was.
I didn't know that.
I think he said him, Spike Dudley, and Mick Foley were all in the crowd, but they didn't know each other, obviously.
That's awesome. Wasn't Edge there? Edge said he made the trek? No, he's too young, I think. There was some big moment that he said him and Christian made the trip to America for. Can't even remember now. But yeah, I kept putting in my notes. I said, how is this an NWA territory? But Because you think about the last major NWA territory before this was WCW. Like, what a drop-off.
Yeah.
But this next match, Kevin Sullivan, pre-Dungeon of Doom, versus the... What?
You could have prefaced it with anything, and you picked pre-Dungeon of Doom.
Well, yeah, he was literally months away from the dungeon.
You could have said post-Games Master of the Varsity Club or something like that, but you had to pick the Dungeon of Doom.
Because he's literally months away from debuting that nightmare. But it's him and another one of our favorites, pre-gimmick that we all love, the Tasmaniac. They are a tag team.
Is this when he's dressed like Fred Flintstone?
He's wearing, yeah, he's got the singlet, but it's got some like caveman crap on it, and he's got like longer, scraggly hair, and he acts like a cave person. Yeah,
got to white his name up.
Yeah. Pat Tanaka is in street clothes. He's in like a t-shirt tucked into his sweatpants, and he's wearing white tennies. So
this is post Orient Express.
Yes, and he's got like long, curly, dark hair. He looks like your uncle is about to go work on his car.
Wait, was he wearing overalls or like?
No,
like one of those work suit overalls, like coveralls.
No, coveralls, yes. Sweatpants and a ratty t-shirt and white tennies. Okay, so maybe he's about to go grill the family a mean burger out back for the cookout. But yeah, so
did he come off the Goldberg's theme?
No, he just came out and the match started quote unquote hot. He just like came through the crowd and started beating on Taz.
I asked that because he was the original one to use Goldberg's theme. I don't know if people know that.
What?
Goldberg's iconic theme that he uses currently.
Yeah.
Yes. Pat Tanaka used that first.
In WCW?
Mm-hmm.
I got to look this crap up because that sounds insane.
Yeah, it's on YouTube, his whole entrance.
Holy hell on wheels. Why? Who would look at him and be like this?
I don't know. I said the same thing.
Well,
there's your fun fact of the day right there.
Yeah. Well, Kevin Sullivan is
again loose with the word fun.
Yeah, Kevin Sullivan isn't exactly a spring chicken here, but he, the Sheik is pushing 70. Keep that in mind. And for as much as flipping Cornette sits there and hates on ECW and garbage hardcore wrestling and all these backyard mud show people, whatever, he just puts over the Sheik like crazy, who comes out, slices people up with a razor blade, throws a fireball, and says, "See you later." How is that better?
I think he loves Mick Foley and Terry Funk too.
Yeah, but he makes a point to trash everything they did in Japan. So, I mean, that's at least something. But he puts over Abdullah the Butcher, too. Like, it's just like, what the hell? You can't say, hey, the dude with the staple gun, he's an idiot, but that dude forking everybody in the head, that's good stuff. God dang, dude, no.
I can't get over, by the way, we got a guy who praises Allah teaming with a supposed devil worshiper. That's great.
No, the Sheik and Kevin Sullivan are on opposite sides of the ring, so they're like.
No, I think
that makes sense.
I mean, against one another. It's hilarious.
Yeah, and we've got
a little more going on to that feud than you know, but anyways,
we've got the Sheik and one half of the Orient Express on one side, and we've got a devil worshiper and a caveman on the other side.
Can we just take a pause? Can we take a pause and just think about what you just said?
Let's not. We've spent way too much time on these.
Shocker. Bad.
Shocker. Sheik is gray, old, and can barely move. Sullivan starts bleeding right out the gate. And Taz tries to make Tanaka submit with various leg submissions. They're the only two who can work. I mean, Sullivan isn't bad, but he's not. I've never been a Sullivan fan. Sheik gets enough distance from Sullivan. Like, Taz has a hold on Tanaka, and he's got his back to the ropes. Sheik is outside the ring fighting with Sullivan, and then he whips a fireball into Taz's back. Taz flops like a fish. Tanaka pins him. They win. The camera misses what happens with the fireball. You see the fireball. You see Taz flopping around, and you have to just figure it out from commentary what the F happened.
Okay, I gotta stop you there. The camera didn't miss it. They missed the camera. Okay, to be fair, it was one camera. They missed it. So blame them, not the camera.
Okay, everybody.
Why am I defending this?
Everybody was bunched up enough where the camera should have seen, especially when there's going to be a fireball spot. That's something in the production meeting. You tell the camera guy, hey, make sure you catch when he throws a fireball into his back. That's something he needs to know.
Yes, listeners, TJ just insinuated that old ECW had production meetings. Yes, he did. He cannot unring that bell.
Hey, man, like I said, I worked for an indie company who had like very short fight, because there were things that were like, hey, make sure, in this match, so-and-so is going to do this. Make sure you zoom in on it. Okay. Boom. That's all you need. God.
Dude, you said there's one camera. I don't think anyone was probably controlling it. They probably just set it up and let it go.
No, so it was on a tripod. Dude moved it back and forth because he would because when they were brawling in the crowd, he went back and forth from the very dark crowd shot to the very bright in-ring shot. So he was like going back and forth. If there was just a stationary camera, you would have missed half of this show. Not that you'd be missing much, but you get my point.
Yeah, you just called this a show.
Yeah. Well, up next we get Mike Awesome versus JT Smith. This was pre-FBI JT Smith, obviously.
JT Smith. I don't know who that is.
He was the black guy in the FBI.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, he was semi-young here and looked athletic. JT Smith was like a jobber. This is basically like Mike Awesome just beat the piss out of him throughout this whole match. But Mike Awesome went to powerbomb him, hit the Awesome Bomb at the end. JT slipped out of it, and he cradled Mike Awesome up, and he pinned him. He beat he beat Mike Awesome. Why? I don't know. I assume it was to piss Mike Awesome off to get this awesome post-match tantrum, because Mike Awesome proceeds to take his aggressions out on the referee and Awesome Bomb his ass. And then he climbs up to the top rope to hit an awesome, I guess he called it the Awesome Splash, or maybe it was just a splash, but it was one of his moves. He goes to splash the referee off the top rope, and the top rope breaks, causing Mike Awesome to face plant. Should I repeat that?
I hope you don't.
They have to take a timeout to fix the effing rope. Mike Awesome stands up after face planting.
Well, it's a safety thing.
Yeah, Mike Awesome.
We don't want anyone to get legit hurt on this show.
Yeah. Mike Awesome stands up after face planting and embarrassing himself, picks up the corner, and throws it on top of the referee like F you. But they have to take a timeout, fix the damn ropes, which, by the way, I noticed were loose as hell, which is not good when Sabu is up next.
Not good.
Bad. When we see the ring again, the red rope is now on the bottom and the blue rope is up top. I don't know the significance of that, but I just noticed it. When the main event starts, the chyron on the bottom says, presented in the most complete form possible due to original production technical difficulties. We'll call it that.
You don't say.
Yeah, I was shocked this was the only time we saw this during the night. Joey Styles' mic is not working. You can hear him yelling off camera. He's yelling his commentary, and he's barely audible because, like, the mic or the camera mic is picking him up. God dang it! And this goes on like he cuts in and out for the rest of the show. This main event, the main event confused me, Greg.
I thought this was the main event.
Yeah, the main event was Terry Funk defending the ECW title against Sabu and Shane McMahon. But for the first 15 minutes...
Shane McMahon.
Or Shane Douglas. God dang it. I'm sorry. I see Shane.
I'm like a 20-year-old kid at this point. Not even that.
Well, hey, he'd fit right in with ECW. There you go.
He'd probably be better than these guys, too.
You watch your mouth talking about Shane effing Douglas, all right? He's the, like, one of only, like, 2 people from Pittsburgh, 3 people from Pittsburgh I actually like. I'm thinking Kurt Angle and Corey Graves. So he's in very small, like, very elite company there. I've always been a Shane Douglas fan. But for the first 15 minutes, it's just Douglas and Sabu. I don't know why. But I guess, like...
Well, because Terry Funk forgot to take his Geritol.
I guess. He's like, God dang it, my horse was sick. Sorry I came late. That's the only thing I can think of. God dang it, Pritchard, your mom's a whore. You remember?
I forgot he says that crap. I forgot he says that.
That was his famous line, quote-unquote famous line, that he yelled over the house mic at the very first Shotgun Saturday Night. Your mother's a whore. Best thing he ever said. God dang it, bye. Shane is apparently coming into the match with a bad arm, and Sabu is really good at working it over, even busting out a couple of nice arm bars. This match was weird. I don't know. With the 15-minute mark coming closer and closer, and Sabu unable to put Shane away, Sabu goes for broke with a moonsault through a table, comes up short. Once Terry gets involved and essentially replaces Sabu, it's where this starts to fall apart.
Well, yeah, if you're going to replace Sabu with anyone, why not Terry Funk?
Yeah, the old crazy dude. You'd think longtime veteran like Funk would try to pick up where Sabu left off and keep on attacking Shane's bad arm, but instead, Shane and Terry mostly traded fists. Terry brings in some chairs. He gives Shane a DDT. This goes on and on. Sabu eventually comes back, by the way. God dang it. This match just went on forever and a damn day. When the ref gets bumped at one point by Terry Funk, Joey Styles yells, "It's all legal now." And I'm thinking, was it not before?
Well, yeah. I mean, Joey Styles made it legal.
I just, like, what happened? I don't understand the difference. Like I said, I was confused through the whole main event.
I'm confused about the whole event. Period.
Yeah. But anyway, this match, Terry Funk wins. I'm trying to see the end of the match here. Sabu blows a fair number of spots. I know, shocker. With one really exposing moment when he can't pull off a springboard moonsault because the ropes are super loose. So he opts to go to the corner, and Funk has to roll into position for Sabu to pull it off. Ah, God damn it. It's I'm wrong, by the way. It was a 60-minute draw. It was a draw, people. Yay. So all that for nothing. Paul E. Dangerously, by the way, was Sabu's manager at this point. Francine was with Shane Douglas. After the main event, we go to some interviews in the back, and they try to make it seem like it's a press conference, but they're not showing anybody, and there's no noise. So they're on a small stage in an empty room. Guarantee it. But anyway, they go to Funk first.
Paul Heyman's basement.
It probably freaking was. But Terry Funk has dried blood on his face. He's crying during his interview, like literally crying real tears. And he runs down the WCW and the WWF saying they're an embarrassment to his profession. He says that this isn't a show for kids and that they're all athletes in a competition here in ECW. These words left Terry Funk's mouth.
Yeah.
Paulie,
I saw a. I'll tell you after.
Well, after he leaves, like they're taking turns. Paulie comes into the room. Sabu is being held back by 911 and somebody else I didn't recognize. They're acting like this is a big press conference or whatever. Paulie talks crap and then they leave. And then Shane Douglas comes in wearing a Steelers hat, so screw him for that. And he starts cussing up a storm like Shane Douglas does. Then Terry Funk comes back and he gets in Shane's face. Shane keeps calling Funk an old man. Funk gives Douglas the ECW title and says that old man is going to whip his butt for the title. Shane gets mad and throws the title aside and cusses Terry out. They keep bleeping him out. They get into a very short brawl. Funk falls back and like the locker room grabs him and holds him back. And that's the end of the show. God,
I remember seeing a recap with Joey Styles, and he called this the greatest wrestling match in the history of wrestling at that point.
No.
He called that triple threat that.
I got bored. Very, very bored. I mean, it didn't completely suck. It just mostly sucked.
Okay.
It was just, I was bored, man. I was just like, duh, is it going to end? And then when it has an ending like a 60-minute draw and the rules are confusing, I was so pissed at the end of this show. I was like, why did I watch this?
You chose it.
I did. It's my fault. But that was that. I guess we're going to take our final break. When we come back, I guess we should talk about Hardcore Heaven 1997. That one was actually more fun. There was some cool stuff on that show to talk about and some hilariously stupid stuff on that show to talk about. One I know in particular you've been waiting to talk about for a long time, Greg.
Yeah.
Ever since we talked about it the first time and you laughed your ass off and I was like, it's coming.
This is some grade A stuff, man.
Oh, hell yeah. But when we come back, it's Hardcore Heaven 1997. We'll be right back.
On Is It Philosophy, we are not going to explore the philosophers of long forgotten. We'll not ponder Plato or Socrates. There's so many podcasts out there for that, if that's what you're seeking. This is something different. A place where all ideas are welcome. An open forum to talk about anything and everything. We take an idea and work to find an answer. It may not always be the most insightful, so come and listen with an open mind. Who knows, you may like what we have to say. So come and enjoy and ask yourself, is it philosophy?
Hi, I'm Mark.
And I'm Carol.
And we're the hosts of Retro Late Fee. We are stuck in 1994.
And we can't get out.
We're watching all the movies and TV shows that you probably remember, I guess. Somehow we're speaking to you through some kind of time portal.
Right.
Join us every week for great movies and TV shows from 25 years ago.
It's fun, I swear.
All right, we're back, and it's time to talk about Hardcore Heaven 1997. Didn't you say you watched this one at one point, Greg?
I watched it at a friend's house, I believe, when it came on. Yeah.
Oh, you watched it actually in 1997?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well. Well, I watched it on...
I don't remember why we watched it. I don't remember who ordered it and why they ordered it, but I watched it.
Because they enjoy crap? I mean, that could be a reason. But
What month
this
was
this took place August 17th, 1997.
So SummerSlam was pretty good that year. Road Wild was something. Yeah. Guess there was no competition, right?
Something. Well, I don't even remember what the hell happened at Road Wild 97.
97. That was...
96 was Hog Wild. I remember that one.
Oh, 97 was Hogan and Luger, and Luger lost the title after a 4-day run.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Man, Luger was so hot, we had to give him the belt. Oh, by the way, you're dropping it back to Hogan. Right away, pal. That was so stupid. But, this took place in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, not in Philadelphia. And it was at the War Memorial Auditorium in front of 1,800 people. I'm really shocked that 1,800 people came out in Florida to see this. But,
Well, if you go back and watch a lot of their actual pay-per-views, and this was an actual pay-per-view, they did have some pretty good houses.
Yeah, some of them. There was one in a legit...
It's not like, they had a following. I can sit here and bag on it all day, but people showed up, so...
There was one you could tell it was in at a hockey rink because just like the stuff around they were like throwing each other into. I'm like, holy crap, that's like they never took down the stuff from the hockey game.
I remember a couple of them. You could see the basketball courts rotated up. It was one of the ones that like came from the ceiling. And you push a button and it moves it up. There was a couple of ECW shows that did that.
That's hilarious.
Oh, Mike Awesome lost the title to Taz, and it was a damn chandelier above the ring.
Yeah.
Just think about that.
That was another one. I was like, dude, like, what the hell did you film this with? Like, God. Because it's like, it looked like it was just some dude was like, I have a camcorder, and they're like, bring it.
We can't afford one.
That's pathetic. The show opened with Joey Styles in the ring. He welcomes everybody to the show, attempts to talk about the main event when ravishing Rick Rude popped up. He just re-signed with the WWF days before this event, actually. And he comes to the ring.
Policy.
Yep. And the fans are chanting, "You sold out." Look, I'd be shocked if more than half of his checks from ECW didn't bounce. All right.
Sold out. It's like he was supposed to be loyal to that crap.
Yeah. Well, and Joey Styles runs him down, says he's joining Shawn Michaels on WWF TV. And Rude grabs the mic, and he runs down Joey Styles, the fans, then brings out Chris Candido. Candido comes out. Todd Gordon comes out with a few referees and tells Rude to that he threw away a lucrative 2-year contract as a commentator. Just so you...
Sorry.
Yeah, I know. Try to contain it. A lucrative
$300
$300 a show, if that. As a commentator, just so you could be a gun for hire. Sure. God dang it. Gordon tells Rude that what he does away from ECW is Rude's business, but what Rude does in ECW is Gordon's business. He gives Rude to the count of 10 to get out of the ring or risk forfeiting Candido's World TV title match. Rude argues until Gordon starts to count, and then he just leaves. And he starts cussing out Todd Gordon, telling him to F off and everything. By the way, before I get going, or as I get going with this review, I am using Wrestling20years.com and, WrestlingDVDNetwork.com as references here, because I've watched it, but I needed a refresher. Chris Candido took on Taz for the ECW TV title. In the end, Candido sets Taz on the top rope and turns his back to mock him. Taz takes advantage and slips him into the Taz mission and scores a tap-out win at 11 minutes 52 seconds to retain the TV title. Good opener for the show, but not a career highlight for either guy.
Oh, hell yeah, the Tasmaniac versus Skip, man. That's the main event anywhere in the country.
You effing said that. Wow. Wow, Greg.
It was right there.
Well, what was on a highlight reel was this next one. It was Spike Dudley versus Bam Bam Bigelow.
This is where he becomes a crash test dummy, I believe.
Oh, yeah. It was something. What the description here says, you may look at this match with a bit of confusion. You wouldn't be the only one. It was built with the shock victory of Spike Dudley at the previous week's ECW show, but it didn't really translate into interest for the rematch. This was basically a squash match. He nailed him with a top rope power, caught him off the top rope, nailed him with a huge power bomb. Bam Bam dropped Spike on the ring post, and Spike just started bleeding freaking everywhere. And then Bam Bam picked him up in a body press position. And when his forehead started pouring blood, he takes him and he whips him 3 rows back into the crowd.
Literally, he flew.
Yes, he did. It was what the hell? I've never seen a grown man fly that far.
And these are not. I don't believe they were plants. So.
No,
I think he threw them on the people, fans.
He did, yeah. And
these sickos loved it.
Keep in mind, I said he's pouring blood from his head, too, by the way. That's another thing to keep in mind. This review says, nothing says ECW being third-rate quite like a guy bleeding everywhere and then being thrown into the fans.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Well, that's not wrong.
I hope they all got their shots. Well, for that matter, I hope Spike got his shots. Bam Bam wins it with a moonsault. Thank God. And they cut to Joey Styles, but not before we see a stagehand stepping in the ring to mop up the blood.
They love doing that. Showing that stuff.
Ugh. Just, blah. I don't mind blood. I'm not squeamish about blood in matches for the most part, but just come on, man. So this is the first of this epic for the night. Before the show went on the air, the insane clown posse of Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope came out to be attacked by Rob Van Dam and Sabu, who was wearing a suit. Oddly enough. And who should
this
come
is when
out?
They were.
Wait, who?
Finish that. ICP. This is when they just started, right? They were nothing yet.
No, they'd been around for about 7 years, but this was when they were at the peak of their.
Well, this is when they started getting known, right?
Yeah, because going back on my knowledge of this, I think this year was their first platinum album they dropped. So. They both still had the dreadlocks. Violent J wasn't fat yet. So, yeah. This was pre-WWE, pre-WCW, all that stuff.
This is pre-looking like Guy Fieri.
Yes. Yes. And now he looks like he ate Guy Fieri. Yeah. You know how he got that big, Greg? He took a detour through Flavortown.
All that Faygo?
Yeah. That was it. There's lots of Faygo in Flavortown. But anyway, who should come out to save the ICP and stand up for the clowns? Why, the Sandman, of course. I don't know why that tickles me so much. But Sandman...
And hold on, guys. It's going to get better.
Oh, yeah. Sandman got the brakes beaten off of him. Just like the clowns. And he got taken out via ambulance. Remember this. Segment 1, Sandman gets stretchered out, taken off in an ambulance.
Why are you telling people to remember this?
Because, Greg, it comes
you
into
hate them
play.
all? This is what you get for listening to us, damn it. You remember this.
Hey, this is important, god dang it. Story, bro. Nobody cares about the matches. It's all story, bro. But up next,
there's no matches in ECW ever.
Hey, whoa, this next one is kind of a match. We get Rob Van Dam with Fonzie, Bill Alfonso. In a world with Jimmy Hart, he is the most annoying manager ever. But he took on Al Snow. One of the ramifications of this deal with their deal with WWF, was an agreement to loan Al Snow, a.k.a. Leif Cassidy, to ECW for 12 months. He was still Leif Cassidy in the WWF, wrestled as Al Snow in ECW. He still wore the getup in ECW.
Yeah.
So he looked like a
Avatar
rocker.
Versus Robbie V, but,
God dang it. Yeah, what is with you doing that? You made it worse. But this review, it says the time away offered him a chance to show what he could do and to rehab himself for a new gimmick. This was pre-head. So,
pre-head.
Yes, pre-head, pre-anybody giving a damn about who the Al Snow was. He did.
You should love him. He's from your neck of the woods.
Lima, which is the most boring city in Ohio. I stand by that. And that's saying something. We got a lot of boring out here. But I will say, when he eventually does morph into the Al Snow that, we know that, painted "Help Me" backwards on his forehead and all that stuff, he had a badass theme song. For those of you out there, it was "Head Like a Hole" by 9 Inch Nails. Love that damn song. But for Van Dam, who complained about not being on the first pay-per-view, this was hardly a big step up in billing. Not my words, people. In the end, Al Snow looks to have RVD where he wants him when RVD connects with the Van Daminator for a pin at 13:44. It was a match. Nothing spectacular.
And I was like really pissed. There was no Marty Jannetty run-in, but
I know, right? He was the rocker. And I can say that because he kept the gimmick. You ever notice that when tag teams split up, by the way, that one always keeps the gimmick and the other one, I don't get it. It's like, why don't you both get your own gimmicks? But no, one.
I don't know. When Demolition broke up, we got the Hawaiian Crush and Repo Man, so.
Yeah. And then Axe was just nowhere to be found, I guess. Yeah, I guess.
It was gone forever, bro.
Gone until they got fat, bro.
Hey, you met them.
I did meet them. I got their autographs. That was odd. Like, people, like...
He fanboyed out, guys, and I mean that in a good way.
I did. This may sound nerdy, but it's like, oh, they're two fat guys in face paint. Yeah, but, I love Demolition. I have Jack's figures of them.
There it is.
Up next, Joey Styles interviews Lance Wright, quote, live from the Extreme Chopper.
Here we go. Now we're getting into the meat of this bone.
Which is supposedly following Sandman's ambulance to the hospital. Or is it?
It's important to note, maybe we'll get to that after. I don't want to give it away.
Good Lord. Supposedly, the Sandman hijacked the ambulance and is now trying to find his way back to the War Memorial Auditorium because he's too drunk to figure out where the hell he's going, I guess. He can't find the War Memorial Auditorium, which apparently he can't find.
I don't think that's a joke.
Yeah. Which apparently he can't find after having driven to James L. Knight Center in Miami by mistake. Oh my gosh.
Miami's like 20 hours or 8 hours away, dude.
From Fort Lauderdale?
I think so. Isn't it near Tampa?
I don't think so. Damn it, Greg! Now you're gonna make me Google Earth the damn thing.
No, you don't have to because I really don't give a damn. It's Florida. No offense.
Oh, I don't think we have any listeners in Florida, but I
don't know.
Be wrong. Good Lord!
I'll be there in April. I'm sorry.
It's 33 minutes, by the way. So you're wrong, Greg. And
God, whatever will I do?
And by the way, Florida, I love you. If I didn't live in Ohio, I would choose to either live in Tennessee or Florida. Tennessee because they've got great food and nice people, and I like the mountains. Florida for obvious reasons because I don't like the cold. But either way, Lance Wright blathers seemingly forever until tossing it back to Styles. You and I were talking about this. Okay, legit chopper, because one thing said that was a real, like they legit used a helicopter for this.
Yeah.
Like, do you think they did?
No, and I'll tell you why. If you go back and watch it, you can see the camera moving, but the helicopter, in quotations, is just sitting there. So, yeah, no.
Because you and I were texting about it when I was watching it, and I was like, how can they afford a chopper for this crap? But they
had some idiots sitting on top of a building with a camera moving it back and forth, and they piped in helicopter noises. That's what they did. I'm calling it.
Yeah, well, how can they? Because I was like, how can they afford a helicopter for this crap, but they can't afford to pay their talent?
Well, where do you think the money went?
Sorry, guys. I spent your paycheck on there. I spent your pay-per-view payoff on the helicopter.
On the extreme helicopter.
The extreme chopper, pal.
Whatever.
Next, Jerry Lawler cuts a promo about Vince McMahon telling him that he had the guts to show up for ECW's pay-per-view alone. King says he won't be alone and that all the WWF superstars are with him in spirit. Yay. So we have that to look forward to. This.
Well, real quick, did any of the superstars include Naked Midian?
He wasn't even a thing in 97. Well, he had a thing, but a thing that we had not seen. Thank God. If your thing fits under a fanny pack, you might need some Blue Chew. That's all I'm saying. Shout out to Blue Chew. The Dudley Boys, Bubba Ray and Devon, with, listen to this cast of characters in their corner. They got Big Dick Dudley. He didn't need Blue Chew. Sign Guy Dudley, Joel Gertner, and porn star Jenna Jameson.
That was a motley crew.
Yeah. They took on the team of PG-13, JC Ice, and Wolfie D.
Is that like a pun, PG-13, with them?
I don't know. Which one was it Wolfie D? Was the was Dundee, Jamie Dundee?
I think so. Yeah.
His dad was one of the most popular popular like small-time NWA wrestlers ever. Had historic feuds, made a lot of money, and then this guy's just Wolfie D.
You mean the guy who wrapped the Nation of Domination to the ring?
Yeah, the guy who was swept into the dustpan of history of wrestling. This was a USWA versus ECW champions versus champions match because nothing draws like that.
This is historic.
Yeah, we got the Dudley Boys versus the White Guys from the Nation of Domination. But Jenna Jameson is in the ring with the rest of the Dudleys and Gertner. Gertner does his usual thing. I gotta This is
he does his usual shtick with Jenna Jameson in the ring.
He does, yeah. And he calls Big Dick Dudley, he says, the man with the 25-inch arms and the 14-inch. I'm not going to say it. He says, phallic and metallic, Big Dick Dudley.
What an intro.
I cannot put over how much I love Joel Gertner. You don't feel the same way, do you? I think we had this conversation.
Not quite. I do think it's clever when he comes up with funny stuff like that, though.
I effing love him. And that Hardcore Justice, going back to TNA pay-per-view he did, I love the whole thing he did about Lady Gaga and Poker Face, whatever. And then at the end of it, Taz is like, well, good night, everybody. That was great. USWA was at death's door at this point. Though PG-13 is said to be the USWA tag champions, they actually had lost the titles to, check these names, Flash Flanagan and Steve Dunn just 9 days before this event in Memphis.
Wow.
After a brief PG-13 comeback, the Dudley Boys end it with a 3D on Wolfie D to retain the ECW tag titles at 10 minutes, 59 seconds. Gosh. So even though it was champions versus champions, I think only the ECW titles were on the line. Hey,
our sanity's on the line listening to this crap.
Yeah. Well, if you want to retain your sanity, Greg, more Extreme Chopper goodness up next.
Greatness.
Yeah, they're still covering the Sandman's. They're still covering the Sandman's inability to find the damn arena. Lance Wright says that Sandman stopped to buy a carton of cigarettes and an ice cold beverage. God dang it!
You forgot the lottery scratchers.
Okay, this is the point where I say, where are the cops? This is Grand Theft Auto.
Hey, you're the one that wants to live in Florida. Look what they let happen out there.
Yeah.
Just think about that.
Grand Theft Auto, speeding, driving while drunk. So many
Stealing
things.
a government vehicle, isn't that a felony?
Yeah, that's another one. Chalk it up there. This next match is where everything's just like they threw everything in the kitchen sink at the damn wall. I got to read this. The lights in the arena went out, which was an ECW staple.
That's good. I didn't want to see any more of this crap.
Yeah. Well, when they come back on, Jerry Lawler's in the ring, cutting a promo, burying ECW, and everybody who bought the damn pay-per-view. And he plugs WWF Ground Zero, which I didn't know that was a show in 94, but whatever. He's
this
putting
is
it
97,
over.
Right?
Or 97. Oh, God dang it. You're right.
This is a show, 97, yeah.
You're right. I was getting this confused with the last crappy ECW show we covered.
No, that's not good. No ties together.
But he says if they order that, the fans will at least get their money's worth with the WWF show. Lawler then basically...
That show was booty, but...
How dare you? They covered it on Pritchard's show? Yeah, whatever. That one. It sounded blah. Honestly, that podcast did not make me want to watch it. But Lawler repeats basically the same promo he did earlier verbatim. I think he said something along the lines of they built the ECW arena with toilet paper because everything inside it was crap.
Yeah.
I will say that was clever. But next we get Jerry Lawler versus Tommy Dreamer with Beulah McGillicuddy, who, by the way, also had one of the greatest theme songs in ECW, Man in the Box. This one's just a brawl from the start. Lawler blades about 6 seconds into the match. Spends the first half of it fighting, half of the fight getting beat pillar to post all over the War Memorial Auditorium. The referee goes down late, and the lights go out again. This is 2, by the way. When they come back on, Rick Rude is there to help Jerry Lawler. The crowd is pretty much dead for the swerve, if you want to call it that, which is kind of sad that Rick Rude shows up and nobody gave a damn. Lights go out a third time, and they come back on. Jake the Snake Roberts shows up. The crowd actually blows for this. Roberts DDT's Dreamer, and then he hits a short arm clothesline on Lawler. So I guess I don't know why he was there. It was a wash.
Well, he actually, I think he said, I believe it was on his WWE DVD, that he just needed a paycheck. He said he hated the company, hated the product, but he needed a paycheck.
Oh, color me shocked. This was a guy who was...
Let's leave the drug jokes alone.
Well, this was also the guy who became the Smoky Mountain world champion and then no-showed and kept the belt. And Jim Cornette, blew up his answering machine trying to get his damn belt back.
Championship, pal.
God dang it. But after some more fighting, lights go out a fourth time. They come back on.
Damn bills!
Knowing ECW, they probably just shut them off to save money. They come back on, and Sunny's in the ring, and she sprays hairspray in Tommy Dreamer's eyes. Beulah comes in, takes down Sunny. They get into a big cat fight. Lawler goes after Beulah, and she mule kicks the King right in the pills, as they put it here. And then Dreamer grabs Lawler by his royal grapefruits before ending it with a DDT at 19 minutes and 2 seconds. My God in heaven.
Okay, two things. The pills. I don't think anyone would appreciate, man would appreciate that. Second, is this the one where Lawler cracks Tommy Dreamer's nut?
No, that's where he shows up with Cornette on a TV. Or no, I think it was the last pay-per-view before this.
He legit breaks his testicle, I think. Oh man.
Yeah, he busts.
Just thinking about that makes me oh God, that's
because Cornette said the lights went out the first time, and when they come back on, it's Lawler. They go out again, they come back on, and it's Cornette. And Cornette said he goes over to whack Dreamer with the racket, and Dreamer doesn't sell it. And he's like, "Oh, you're hurt." And he said Dreamer had to go get his meat and two veg drained. So, yeah, I can't even imagine. I don't want to imagine.
I want to imagine.
Yeah, I'm moving on quickly. Next up, Joey Styles is talking about having a rematch of the big three-way dance that, quote, put ECW on the map from February 5th, 1994, which what we talked about earlier. We get yet another update from Lance Wright in the Extreme Chopper. It takes forever for the, quote, live shot to start and for Wright to start talking. Apparently, Sandman has finally found his damn way back to the War Memorial Auditorium. And not a moment too soon. Yes, because this show needs some Sandman and some Kanan. Sandman bursts out of the ambulance and starts swinging his cane against cops and ECW officials, which he somehow had with him the entire time. Yeah, I didn't even think about that part. He was stretchered out, taken to the ambulance, and then stole said ambulance, came back with a Singapore cane on his person.
Yeah.
Or we are to believe that that ambulance just so happened to have a cane in the back of it. This is all kinds of dumb.
Because, every ambulance in the world has to have a kendo stick in the back.
Well, hell yeah. And this is another felony to that charge, assaulting police with a deadly weapon. He's back the next week.
Oh my God.
Paul Heyman worked his jovial Jew magic with the cops, his legal magic, and got him out of prison, I guess. I don't know.
His magic couldn't cash checks.
Well, no, he's not that kind of Jew. Is that racist? I mean, like...
I don't know. I didn't say it. I don't want no credit for that.
That's the thing. Man, see, nobody ever calls me out on Twitter for anything I say on the podcast, just for things I tweet. So we're not very big in Israel, so I can say that.
To be fair, I think he calls himself a Jew and talks crap about it. So.
I'm not saying anything he's not. And Jew
I know.
isn't
I know
a slur.
The word could be, yeah.
Well, yeah. But when Terry Funk gets in the ring, Francine tries to bribe him with cash to leave the match. Of all the
Where
things,
the hell did she get cash?
Yeah, well, look at her. Come on now.
Not touching it. It was an ECW's broke joke, all right? That's what it was.
I know.
I'm sticking to that.
Well, I was going to say, of all the things Francine had to bribe him with, why cash?
Because it doesn't work anymore.
Oh, good Lord.
And you guys can decipher what it is.
It. Funk knocks the money away and tosses some of it to the fans. ECW World Title match, three-way dance, Shane Douglas with Francine versus Terry Funk and defending champion Sabu. The main story in this one was that Terry Funk wanted to retire as ECW champ because, you know, you want that on your Hall of Fame resume. Retired as ECW champion. Even though he isn't set to retire until the end of the year. The match.
Spoiler, he'll become Chainsaw Charlie in a couple of months.
God dang it, my horse got sick and I had to go to Stanford.
So I borrowed my wife's tights and put it on my face.
The hell? Well, where else did you put him, Greg?
He put tights on his face.
He did.
Like, legit.
Yeah. He had stockings on his head. You know, you want to know something weird? As a child, that was the first time I ever saw Terry Funk. I didn't know who the hell he was. Yeah, I didn't know who the hell he was. Just some crazy weirdo wearing overalls popping out of a box.
It was crazy.
Over.
Came out of a box. It was over. Whatever.
Came out with a chainsaw, busted out of a box. He was over as hell. F you. Anyway, the match is a fun brawl for the most part. Midway through, Todd Gordon comes out to prevent Sabu from putting Funk through a table for some reason and ends up going through the table with Bill Alfonso instead. Sabu is in the midst of taking out Douglas and Funk with a ladder when Sandman finally finds his way to the ring, stumbles his ass out, and commences a mammoth beatdown on Sabu. As security and police wrestle Sandman away from the ring, both Douglas and Funk roll Sabu up for the pin at 19 minutes 32 seconds, eliminating the ECW champion from the match. Sabu manages a miraculous recovery and hits Sandman and the police with a triple jump splash, sending them sprawling like bowling pins. My God, this just...
So, people are chasing this ambulance, and he has enough time to get out of said ambulance and get to the ring without being arrested.
Well, didn't you remember he was beating the police away with a kendo stick?
I forgot, sorry.
What looks like half of the locker room comes out to drag both Sabu and Sandman to the back as Douglas and Funk continue to fight for the title. Once the Sandman and Sabu are gone, the wrestlers return to stand at ringside to watch a new ECW World Champion be crowned. Douglas, I forgot to mention, by the way, Shane Douglas also has one of my favorite ECW themes with Perfect Strangers by Deep Purple. Douglas and Funk continue to fight until the franchise and Francine begin humiliating Funk. Dory Funk Jr. makes a save, or as he was known in the WWF for some reason, Hoss Funk.
I think he was in the Royal Rumble that year too.
It's freaking weird. Well, he was in like hella early on, like he tag teamed with Terry. It was weird. But Funk looks to be on the verge of winning when both men go through a table at ringside. Douglas hits 2 more belly-to-belly suplexes before Funk tries a surprise small package. Douglas kicks out, hits a 4th and final belly-to-belly, and wins the match at 26 minutes, 36 seconds. And the franchise's 3rd ECW World Heavyweight title win. This marks the end of Sabu's 2nd and final ECW World title reign at a mere 9 days.
8 days too long.
Oh, you didn't like Sabu?
Not really.
I was, I don't know. I liked him back then. By the time he got to WWE, I was like, meh. You ever hear that, like, according to Bruce Pritchard, according to rumor and innuendo, Vince McMahon saw, like, Sabu as a star, and that he could do something with him.
That's why he put him against John Cena?
I guess. Yeah, because he saw him as, like, a main event level talent that, you know, he could really get over and make huge. And that all went out the window when him and RVD got pulled over for smoking the ganja and arrested. So, yeah. But after the match, Douglas whipped Terry Funk with the ECW World title as the fans chanted "Bull excrement." Joel Gertner, of all people, enters the ring with the Dudley Boys in tow. Joel tries to recruit Shane Douglas. And the Dudley Boys beat on Funk. Candido and Bigelow come to the ring, and it's a triple threat Dudley Boys war. The locker room comes down. It breaks, and to break it up, and an even larger brawl breaks out. Soon enough, the Dudleys clear the ring of all but Terry Funk. Balls Mahoney and Axel Rotten make the save on Terry Funk, but are quickly overrun as the Dudleys continue to beat on Funk. New Jack's music hits. There's your guy. New Jack's music hits, and New Jack and Cronus hit the Dudleys with everything but your neighbor's kitchen sink. Perry Saturn, still recovering from a nasty knee injury, is at ringside on a crutch, because why not? But not for long. Eventually, Saturn gloms Big Dick Dudley with the crutch before dropping Big Dick and Devon with Bubba cutters, I guess. Saturn even goes to the top and drops an elbow on Bubba before slithering out of the ring in obvious pain. So basically, the locker room unloads.
All the crap you just said just gave me a headache.
It's a huge brawl. Everybody beat the piss out of each other. Bing, bam, boom. There ya go.
EC dub.
Yup. This is what people loved, people. Look, I love me some Shane Douglas. I love me some Dudley Boys. Taz. This is another one. It's like Impact. They had some great talent. They just kind of sucked.
Never gave him a chance.
Yeah. They had some good stuff. Rey Mysterio versus Psychosis. Good stuff. Anything that Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, and Chris Jericho were involved in, usually good stuff. The Impact players, all of them. Towards the later years,
everybody you just named off jumped.
I know. RVD versus Jerry Lynn was always great stuff. I mean, there was a lot of that, but I don't know. It just the one night stands were fun. I enjoyed them, but ECW itself was just kind of I don't know. I like laughing at some of it, but I've never watched an ECW show and thought, man, I'm glad I watched that. Like, that was time well spent. I've never once thought that.
Yeah, unless we're counting the first one night stand, me neither. But
I'm counting like when ECW was in business from start to close. Like, yeah, none of it.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Their last pay-per-view was decent.
I knew a guy who recorded on his VCR every episode of ECW on TV. He lived it and breathed it. He loved it. That was his thing over WWF and WCW. And till his dying day, he will sing the praises of ECW.
Yeah, we all got one of those.
This was a show. It was something. But yeah, next week should be a little... I'm sorry, like, I realize this show is dropping on September 11th. There's already a lot of painful memories on this day. I think you and I just added.
So why not throw a gallon of gas on the fire?
Yeah. Hey, for all of you that are not having a good day today, we just made it worse. You're welcome.
Or we made it funny.
Yeah, maybe something to laugh at. I don't know. Maybe. Hopefully. But next week, we're going to try to do a review of Clash of Champions and the big event, if we have time. I'm going to try to... We're not going to go super deep into Clash of Champions.
I passed right by that building when I was in Toronto.
I am looking forward to watching it. I've never seen it. Ever. So, looking forward to it. Heavily. Clash of Champions. I'm looking forward to the event. But we're not going to go super deep into it because you all saw it. And if you didn't see it, then you're probably not going to tune in to us to figure out exactly what happened. You just kind of want our take on the show overall. So we're not going to go super deep into it. We'll just touch on a few things. And then we will cover the big event, which was a historic show from WWE. Was this pre or post Mania?
Post.
Okay. Well,
post WrestleMania 2, pre WrestleMania 3, I believe.
Okay. So, thank you for joining me today, Greg, on this all ECW show. And
sure.
And we will come at you all later next week for Clash of Champions and the big event. See ya.
Later.